walk me through. I know the city of Waukee has had this municipal gas billing for a while, or system for a while.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of creation and now, how common was it for a city like Waukee to have its own system?
Sure. Well, we are one of 51 municipal gas utilities today in the state of Iowa. So while it's not a huge number, it's still a significant number of communities in Iowa that have their own municipal gas utility. There are others that also have municipal electric and so forth. So it's not uncommon. In 1966, when the municipal gas service was established in Waukee, we were less than 1,000 people. And if you think back to kind of just the area we're in, we were somewhat remote from everyone else. And so it made sense at that time. We really didn't have any other providers necessarily that were willing to provide municipal gas. And so the city took that on as a service. Today, we're 32,000 in size and continue to grow at a pretty rapid pace. So while we've certainly been able to keep up from a growth perspective, and we have a phenomenal team to manage the operations of the gas utility, the mayor and city council have come to the determination of whether or not this is really a core service that the city should provide moving forward.
And so when and why did Waukee start to feel the strain of the current system as it is?
It's a number of factors. First of all, we are obviously we're only purchasing so much gas, so our buying power isn't perhaps quite what larger providers are in terms of that commodity price in natural gas, and we're simply passing that cost onto our residents. And again, if we're purchasing that at a higher price, obviously that cost is going to be more to our residents in the form of their monthly bill. That's a component of it. The other component of it is risk. Particularly, we discovered during Winter Storm Uri back in 2021 that that very short period of time that was created some concern relative to our ability to provide the amount of gas that was supported, and then certainly the costs associated with those types of winter events. And our winters and just our weather in general is so erratic that creates another concern. And then finally, as we continue to grow, as we get larger and larger, there's some risk associated with that as well. So it's really a matter of rates, what it costs our residents, as well as our ability long-term to provide that service.
Okay. And then in terms of just timeline of events, when did the city of Waukee start considering selling the municipal gas utility, and sort of how have we gotten to the point that we're at right now?
Our mayor and city council, we've been analyzing, much like we do with everything, we've been analyzing the municipal gas utility really for the past 3 years. We've actually made some changes in how we operate as well as our rate structures, which has created some savings to the individual resident, but not a significant decrease. So roughly, the last couple of years, we've really analyzed that. We've determined sort of the method moving forward, and we're to that point now where the mayor and council have given the direction that it makes sense to ask the question of the public of whether or not it's time to sell that utility.
Okay. And so, with this special election, if voters do elect to move forward with this plan, what happens next?
Sure. So the actual language on the ballot will specify or essentially give the mayor and city council authority to sell the utility. It doesn't say it will be sold. Obviously, there's lots of factors on whether or not it's a good decision that the mayor and council will ultimately have to make depending on the successful bidder of that utility. So the vote if passed, would provide the authorization for the mayor and council to proceed forward. If that were the case and if it's favorable to the city to move forward, then I would suspect it's a 6 to 9 month process where that transaction and transition would occur before the utility would ultimately be out of the hands of the city of Waukee.
And then with that, how would selling the municipal gas utility put less strain on the people of Waukee?
Well, we would anticipate, we obviously, there's still some data that has to be collected, but we would anticipate, just based upon what we know of some of the surrounding communities, we would anticipate that the rates would be lower than what we can provide through the city of Waukee based upon how we operate the utility. So, you know, that ultimately would be, and quite frankly, that's one of the reasons, part of the reason why we're here today is the concern that we've heard from residents and businesses relative to the cost of gas rates in the city of Waukee. So ultimately, the intent behind this sale is that it would allow for lower rates on a monthly basis to our residents.
Can you give me any specifics of some of the concerns that you've been receiving?
Reality is you know, people talk. You know, we literally have houses next door to people in other communities, and you know, so people talk with their relatives and friends and compare, and you know, the costs in Waukee, you know, at least from the perception out there, is it's a higher cost of providing that utility. And so those are mainly the complaints. It's not a complaint of service. I would argue that we operate the utility extremely well and as efficient as we can. We have fantastic customer service. It ultimately comes down to the cost that is to the consumer or to the resident on a monthly basis.
Okay. And then my last big question is, in terms of the next steps, is what is the city doing to inform residents of this special election? Obviously, it was just approved.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then will there be any public forums or events for people to ask questions?
Sure. So we're dictated by state code on requirements of what we have to provide to the public. Certainly we want the public to be well informed before they make a decision on any vote that they make. There are several documents and items that over the next month will be placed on our website. And in fact, that website is live with some information, including the resolutions that the City Council has already approved. That will be populated. And then we are required to send out a notification to every single ratepayer in the city. And that will be done here, anticipating the first part of January. And at this point in time, we don't anticipate having any public forums or meetings, but that's not to say if there's a demand for something like that, that's something we would certainly consider in the future.